Child actors have to go through a lot when coming up in Hollywood, from directors telling them that they've gained too much weight to the intense scrutiny that the media can have on them if they do anything deemed improper. Many former child stars are now exposing Hollywood for the messy place that it truly is. I'm gonna get into all those details in just a moment, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming at number 10, Drew Barrymore. A lot of the time when a child actor becomes famous, it can really change the family dynamic. According to Drew, this is exactly what happened to her. When she suddenly turned into the family's breadwinner, this parent-child dynamic was radically changed and put a big strain on her relationship with her parents. While talking with Demi Lovato on the podcast 4D, she said that for 20 or 30 years she felt toxic inside and had to keep separating herself from her parents to gain autonomy, structure, and boundaries, all of which she had to learn all on her own. Drew became well known for her role in E.T. as well as receiving numerous accolades including a Golden Globe. Drew, however, had one of the toughest childhoods in Hollywood history. In her autobiography Little Girl Lost, Drew admits she smoked, drank, and snorted the white stuff before she was even a teenager. This all led to the successful emancipation from her parents when she turned 15. At 13, she was placed into rehab and would spend 18 months in an institution for the mentally ill. After an attempt to end her own life at 14 years old, she was put back into rehab. Singer David Crosby, along with his wife, insisted that she stay with them because Crosby said she needed to be around some people that were committed to sobriety. Coming number 9, Miley Cyrus. Arguably one of the most successful child stars of her generation, Miley has had a rise and fall like none other. She became a teen idol as the title character of the Disney Channel television series Hannah Montana, which ultimately led to her becoming a very successful recording artist as well. Although all of that fame and being the daughter of a rock star aren't necessarily great for one's ego. She started to perform though as both her Hannah Montana character and as herself, which really did a number on her psyche and led to her becoming a bit of a double diva. What's worse is that Hollywood executives drilled into her head that no one would care about her unless she was wearing the Hannah Montana wig. When speaking to Rolling Stone, she said that she felt like her own success would never amount to the success of Hannah Montana, and that really stems from those executives just wanting her to continue with this character because that's what was making them money at the time. Coming in number 8, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato has been a Disney kid for a very long time. Appeared on Barney and Friends from 2002 to 2004. However, between 2007 to 2008, Lovato played Charlotte Adams on the Disney Channel short series As the Bell Rings. Auditioned for Disney's Camp Rock and new TV series called Sunny with a Chance. Landed both of those roles. Lovato was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and struggled a lot to find body confidence. So needless to say, Lovato was labeled as a nightmare to work with on set, but it was primarily due to all of the pressures of maintaining presence at Disney after all of this early success. During an interview with Refinery 29, Demi said, "Prior to getting sober, I was one of those people who was like, I don't give a whatever, and I used that as an excuse to do whatever I wanted. I was a nightmare to work with." Coming number 7, Joe Jonas. When the Jonas Brothers were popping off, I had a feeling that the whole purity ring deal that they were flaunting a lot was simply a Disney creation rather than a personal choice, and turns out I was right. In a now famous essay that Joe Jonas wrote for Vulture, he said that because he was under contract with Disney, he constantly had to sugarcoat a lot of things. In the essay, he goes on to expose Hollywood and says, "Because of our age, because of Disney, because of those rings, there were so many things throughout our career that we had to sugarcoat. If a lyric was slightly sexual, someone at the record company would tell us that we had to change it. It could be the most innocent reference like I'm alone in a room with you, and it would have to go too. It felt like we couldn't be creative, so we stopped listening to them and just started handing shit in." Coming number 6, Jeanette McCurdy. Touching on the pressures of Hollywood that I spoke about in the intro of this video, Jeanette says that she developed an eating disorder at 11 because she quickly learned that this was what got her more roles. While speaking with HuffPost, she goes on to say, "My disordered eating was reinforced wherever I went and by whomever I saw. I'd lose weight and go to a wardrobe fitting where the stylist would look at me excitedly, wag a pair of 00 jeans, and happily sing-song down a size. Not to mention her own mother was dedicated to assisting her with the anorexia problem that she was falling into." Jeanette goes on to say, "I didn't really recognize that my mom was aiding in my disordered eating until one night riding home from dance class when I was 12. She turned around to face me from the front seat and said, 'Angelica's mom is really concerned about your weight.' She said she brought it up to the other dance moms and they're all worried you're too thin. They're thinking about calling to get you help." She paused, I processed, "If anybody asks, just tell them you're eating normally," which is so messed up and really shows how much Hollywood can even affect a parent's mind on what's right and what's not. Coming number 5, Mark Paul Gosselaar. After the experience that Mark had as a child actor, he has decided that he does not want his own children to ever enter the entertainment industry. For those of you who don't know, Mark played Zach Morris in Saved by the Bell. Something that has always stuck with him though was when he was told that he had to act like an adult even though he was just a teenager at the time. While speaking with People magazine, he says, "The director was saying the minute you walk through these double doors leading onto the stage, you're no longer a child anymore, you're an adult. You have to act like an adult." Which is exactly why he doesn't want his kids in Hollywood. He understands that the industry is a place for adults, not a place for kids. Coming in number 4, Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart may be a happily married mother of 3, but during her time as Sabrina the Teenage Witch, she partied partied like every other Hollywood star. In the 1990s, she appeared to be this squeaky clean actor, but that was just an image put forth by executives. In her tell-all book called Melissa Explains It All, she speaks very openly about all of these secret stories that she had to keep under wraps while acting in Hollywood. In one portion of the book, she says that she experimented with weed, ecstasy, mushrooms, and for about a year and a half. I mean, it looks like her broomstick wasn't the only thing getting her high. On top of that, she spilled crazy details about making out with a woman in a limo and then heading to a Maxim photo shoot while still high, then revealing that it was her third or fourth time on ecstasy for this photo shoot. Although all this bad behavior, she says, is attributed to the bad crowd that she was hanging out with, i.e. Hollywood people. Coming number 3, Daniel Radcliffe. Where does the time go? It feels like only yesterday that we were watching the adventures of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Although because we were so engulfed in following Daniel Radcliffe bring this character to life, we failed to notice when he grew up. Not only that, but his confession that he had a drinking problem was sadly something that no one wanted to hear about. Thankfully, he beat this in 2010, but the actor himself has revealed that he would show up to the set of Harry Potter still intoxicated from the night before. Daniel said that there were times during his teen years where he felt like he was being watched, and while admitting that most of the time it may have been in his head, he still didn't know how to deal with it. During an interview with Off Camera, he said, "In my case, the quickest way to forget about the fact that you're being watched is to get very drunk. And then as you get very drunk, you become aware that, oh, people are watching more now because now I'm getting very drunk, so I should probably drink more to ignore that more." In an interview with The Guardian, though, he said that he turned to alcohol to cope with the pressures of fame and potential failure. As I mentioned, he has been sober since 2010, but said that his friends played a big role in his recovery. Although he did reveal some pretty crazy stuff about being intoxicated while filming. Daniel said, "I can honestly say I never drank at work on Harry Potter. I went into work still drunk, but I never drank at work. I can point to many scenes where I'm just gone, dead behind the eyes." Coming number 2, Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman was once rated first by VH1 on a list of the 100 greatest child actors on television. Best known for his role as Arnold Jackson in Different Strokes, Gary would go on to have a very successful career as a child actor. I mean, very successful. He made millions of dollars for his acting, but before he knew it, the well had run dry. Not only did Coleman sue his financial advisor, but he had to sue his parents as well for mishandling his $18 million fortune. In 1989, Coleman won the court case, but was only given $1.3 million, which sounds like a lot, and it is. However, when you see that he made $18 million, it looks like nothing. Even worse, suing his parents absolutely destroyed their relationship. A decade later, he was filing for bankruptcy, and at the time of his death in 2010, his parents had not spoken with their son for more than 2 decades. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Corey Feldman. Rising to fame in the 1980s with roles as a youth in films like Gremlins and The Goonies and Stand By Me, Feldman became a highly sought-after child actor. Although in 1986, he discovered that his mother had been spending almost all of his money and only left Feldman with $40,000 in the bank. Much like many of these other celebrities so far, Corey sued his parents to be freed from their legal custody. The really messed up part with Corey Feldman's story, though, is that while he had successfully sued to be emancipated from his parents, his father refused to sign the papers. Corey just wanted some control over his own money, but his dad wouldn't give in until he paid him the $40,000 that he had left. I mean, how gross is that? But guys, that has been the top 10 former child actors that exposed Hollywood, and before we get out of here, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Greatest Johnny Depp Performances. Flying Without Fear says, "There are so many amazing roles that Johnny has done. I love all the ones that you have covered. I also absolutely love Mordecai, the Professor at Minamata. Thank you so much for covering Johnny." I always love covering Johnny Depp stories because when I'm sifting through the comments, I'm like, are they talking about me or are they talking about Johnny Depp? Like right there, thank you so much for covering Johnny. You're welcome, and I will definitely cover more Johnny Depp. There, we got a double in there. And I have to check out those 2 movies as well. Nailed by Miss Cindy says, "I have Jack Sparrow tattooed on my calf. I absolutely love anything Depp does." I couldn't agree more. I love everything that Depp does. All of the movies that he's been in are absolutely incredible. I don't know if I would go as far as getting a Jack Sparrow tattoo on my calf, but hey. Mary Chappelle says, "Looking forward to top 10 greatest Johnny Depp performances part 2 and 3 and 4. There's a lot. There's a lot. We'll see. Arena Chowdhury says, "I will never understand how some people think this guy doesn't have range. Look at his filmography. He's the definition of range. Also loving the appreciation for Blow." Yeah, everything that Johnny Depp does, he's doing it as a challenge for that movie. It's not just like some easy movie that it can do to make some quick money. Peachy Panda 28 says, "Crybaby is one of my sister's favorite movies. Love Johnny and these movies and love the list. Thanks, IO." You're very welcome, Peachy Panda, and I love that movie as well. But guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.